Eso es la actualidad ahorita, es lo que más se está usando. Es la que más se está usando, es la droga más que deja dinero ahorita.
A new viral clip of the most dangerous cartel boss has rattled the US and Mexican governments.
Uno sí manda 2-3 kilos, invierte, recibe $10,000 para triplicarlo.
He's not hiding anymore, he's taunting. But the real shock buried in this footage is a revelation that threatens to expose the one secret both governments have been desperately trying to hide. Viral clip of the untouchable cartel boss. The video begins grainy, shaky, filmed on a phone, but the message it carries is louder than any government press release. There he is, the cartel boss whose name whispers like a curse in border towns, America's most wanted man. And for the first time in years, he isn't hiding in shadows. He's sitting, calm, commanding, surrounded by men armed like soldiers, and he's speaking directly to the world. This viral leak isn't just a clip, it's a calculated performance, a demonstration of dominance meant to humiliate law enforcement. He dares the world to catch him, knowing full well that every attempt to arrest him has ended in chaos and bloodshed. You'd expect a fugitive to keep his head down, but instead, he has turned into a digital phantom, spreading fear through a screen. In the opening moments, a young voice reveals how cartel power isn't built on recruitment, but on bloodlines.
One of my uncles is called Cartel, and the only way to be in that inner circle is through a bloodline. So that's where I came in. I was bloodline into it. And at 16, 17 years old, what they started teaching us is military warfare.
That confession cuts straight to the heart of what makes this boss so dangerous. Unlike gangs that recruit from the streets, his empire raises successors from birth, training them in warfare before they're even adults. It's a dynasty of violence, not a loose network. The documentary Inside the Sinaloa Cartel reminds us why this matters. In Culiacan, the cartel's hub, entire cities exist in the shadow of narco wealth. According to reports, the Sinaloa cartel pockets anywhere from $3 to $12 billion each year, funneling the cash back into villas, shopping malls, and even pharmacies. That kind of money isn't just power, it's infrastructure, binding an estimated 200,000 people directly or indirectly to cartel payrolls. So when the boss smirks into a camera, he isn't just showing off. He's flexing the weight of an empire larger than most multinational corporations, one that controls production, logistics, finance, and murder, all in one. And his mockery is built on a grim history. In 2019, when Mexican forces captured Ovidio Guzman, the son of El Chapo, the government was forced to let him go after hundreds of sicarios stormed Culiacan.
Ovidio Guzman is hiding in this grand villa. He is captured by the police. Between 200 and 800 sicarios from different cartels are attacking the city. At 5:30 p.m., the president of Mexico ordered the release of Ovidio to bring an end to the bloodbath.
That event wasn't just a humiliation for the state, it was a masterclass in cartel leverage. Capture the boss, and the streets burn until the government folds. That's the precedent this current cartel leader flaunts every time he appears on screen. The arrogance cuts even deeper when you look north of the border. America's overdose crisis is tied directly to these operations. In Mexico, a single fentanyl pill costs less than $1, but in the US, it can sell for 15 to 30 times more. That price difference fuels a deadly flood of narcotics that kills more than 30,000 Americans every year, and the man in the viral clip profits from every death. This is why his appearance stings so much. It's not just a taunt, it's a reminder of how untouchable he remains, even as families across the US bury their children. His cartel funnels poison north and money south, leaving misery in its wake. While he laughs on camera, authorities do strike back. In the United States, SWAT teams raid stash houses tied to his networks again and again. But as one officer bluntly admitted in a raid,
we've had a total of 8 operations on this house. The problem is once we make an arrest, there's always somebody else to come in and set up shop.
That revolving door reality is the cartel's greatest weapon. Arrest one lieutenant and another steps up. Seize a house and a new one is opened down the street. Like a hydra, the organization grows back stronger with every cut. And the man in this video knows it. That's why he dares to appear unmasked, smug. Because no matter who falls, his empire regenerates. So why risk a viral appearance now? Because it isn't a risk at all. It's strategy. It's psychological warfare designed to remind governments, rivals, and ordinary citizens alike that he rules from the shadows, immune to the laws that bind everyone else. He wants his face to haunt TikTok feeds, his words to echo in US newsrooms, his reputation to live rent-free in every general's mind. And tragically, it's working. Ordinary people share the video like it's just another trending post. Fear becomes entertainment. Violence becomes viral content. That blurred line is exactly what strengthens him. The most dangerous cartel boss has gone viral, and he knows it, but the video only shows his confidence. news. It doesn't show the blueprint of how he built this empire, or why his grip on Mexico and the US is tighter than ever. And in the next entry, we dive into those darker truths, where the money comes from, how his soldiers are trained, and why even governments fear dismantling his machine. Inside the Cartel Bosses' billion-dollar war machine, the leaked viral video was only the bait. What really terrifies law enforcement isn't what the camera captured, it's what lies behind it. An empire of violence run like a corporation, fueled by billions, and guarded by an army more disciplined than some national militaries. This is not some corner street operation. This boss has built a machine that recruits soldiers, scientists, accountants, and politicians. Each part of the machine keeps the other moving, and the disturbing truth is, the longer his cartel thrives, the weaker both Mexico and the United States appear. The first time you see the training camps, you understand why capturing him is almost impossible. Recruits aren't given time to find their place. They are tested the moment they step in, sometimes with their lives. In one chilling clip, a cartel insider explains how new members are expected to kill without hesitation or face the consequences.
To have a chance of joining the cartel, all candidates must pass an entrance exam.
Si te mandan, ¿sabes qué? Mata a aquel, tienes que ir sin pensarla. Si no lo haces, sabes que no, te pegan una chinga y te...
Think about this. Killing as an entrance exam. That flips our entire legal understanding of consent and free will. These recruits don't choose violence. They're forged in it. Can you even prosecute someone raised like this the same way as a street criminal?
This isn't exaggeration, it's policy. Killing is the entry fee, mercy is a disqualification, and if you flinch, they beat you until either your will breaks or your body does. That's how loyalty is manufactured, not by choice, but by blood baptism. And once you're in, survival depends on obedience. For these men, hesitation equals execution. It's not just about becoming a sicario, it's about becoming a weapon. What makes this cartel boss uniquely terrifying is how he's combined this brutality with modern military tactics. One defector recalled how, at 16, he and others were trained in warfare by specialists who once belonged to the Mexican army, and disturbingly, by veterans trained in the US. That revelation explains why his foot soldiers fight like soldiers, ambushing convoys, flanking military patrols, deploying drones. This isn't gang violence, this is insurgency. And here's the nightmare scenario: a private army of over 100,000 men. That's not a metaphor. According to investigative reporting, the Sinaloa cartel alone commands an estimated 100,000 sicarios. That's more than the standing armies of some small nations. Armed with US-made rifles, rocket-propelled grenades, armored vehicles, and in some cases even anti-aircraft weaponry, they don't just fight, they dominate. When the cartel moves, cities lock down, and this boss sits at the top, orchestrating chaos with a smirk. What does that mean for ordinary people? It means communities live under the double shadow of poverty and narco power. The cartel doesn't just rule through fear, it rules through dependence. In towns where government presence is minimal, the cartel fills the void. They build roads, pay families, sponsor festivals. One chilling scene from a documentary showed traffickers funneling billions into local economies by buying villas, malls, and even pharmacies. For many, narco money is the only paycheck available. That duality makes the boss a paradoxical figure, both a monster and, to some, a benefactor. Parents curse his name as their children overdose in the US, while in Mexico, families toast him at local fiestas for keeping food on their tables. It's Robin Hood twisted into something darker. The viral video isn't just propaganda, it's recruitment. Young men scrolling on their phones don't just see a fugitive, they see power, wealth, respect, everything their broken systems can't offer. That's how his machine sustains itself, by turning poverty into loyalty. But make no mistake, loyalty doesn't protect everyone. The cartel's rules are ruthless. In one clip, sicarios pray to Santa Muerte before heading out on missions, openly admitting they offer their souls in exchange for protection.
For good luck, they often stop by and pray to Santa Muerte, the goddess of death.
Le pedimos que nos proteja y que nos cuide por donde quiera que andemos y que nos regrese sano y salvo, o que nos regrese pues como ella quiera, porque ya el alma es de ella.
Imagine that, soldiers in a drug empire worshipping death itself as their guardian saint. That's not just ritual, it's psychological conditioning. A man who believes he is protected by death does not fear dying. That's the kind of soldier this cartel boss commands. So why haven't they taken him down? Because every attempt ends in disaster. Take the raid that once captured Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the legendary former boss. The footage of that assault still echoes through the halls of law enforcement.
Hey, tenemos una herida. Aguas. Arriba esta. Aguas. Dale, pasa. Date vuelta ese carro.
That wasn't a police knock at the door. That was urban warfare. Grenades thrown in tight hallways, automatic gunfire rattling the walls, terrified voices trying to keep control. And even then, capturing El Chapo didn't end the empire. His arrest only fractured the cartel into rival factions, each desperate to prove dominance.
And here's the brutal reality. Every death, every funeral, every overdose doesn't weaken the cartel boss. It strengthens his legend. Fear isn't collateral damage. It's part of his business model.
The man in this viral clip, he's one of the winners of that bloody succession. And like his predecessors, he doesn't just run drugs, he runs lives. The cartel doesn't stop at exporting poison, it also exports terror. The Mexican drug war has killed more than 230,000 people in the last 15 years. That's not collateral damage, that's entire generations wiped out. Families vanish, children grow up without parents, towns empty out. And every funeral strengthens the legend of the cartel boss, because fear feeds his myth. In the United States, the consequences are different, but just as devastating. The fentanyl crisis has overwhelmed hospitals, coroner's offices, and police units. American cities spend billions each year trying to contain overdoses, but the supply keeps coming. Every pill that costs $1 in Sinaloa multiplies its value 15 to 30 times once it crosses the border. That kind of profit margin makes it impossible to stop. Too many people on both sides are making too much money. Even when authorities arrest members of his organization, the system barely dents his empire. SWAT raids in US suburbs uncover stash houses loaded with weapons and narcotics, yet officers themselves admit that every takedown is temporary.
This is the 9th time we've hit this place. You know, if they come back, the neighbors will call narcotics will call us, and we'll do it all over again.
We got dope, guns, and bad guys, so we really can't ask for better than that.
9 raids on the same house, 9 times dismantling the same network. That's the definition of futility. Arrests are speed bumps, not roadblocks, and that's why this boss remains untouchable. Not because he's invisible, but because he's indispensable. Every arm of his empire is replaceable. Every soldier can be swapped. Every lab can be rebuilt. As long as there's demand, the machine runs. And as long as the machine runs, he can taunt governments on video without fear. The viral clip shows his face, but behind it stands an empire that has fused organized crime with paramilitary discipline and corporate efficiency. And the truth that haunts both Mexico and the United States is simple. The man isn't just dangerous, he's systemic. But here's the thing the viral clip doesn't reveal: how deeply this cartel boss has corrupted politics, business, and even the police sworn to fight him. In the next entry, we unravel that web of corruption and expose why his empire may be even harder to kill than anyone dares admit. Corruption, the cartel boss's real weapon. The viral video shocked the world because it showed a man living freely while 2 governments claimed to be hunting him. But the truth is more humiliating. He isn't just hiding from the state, he's embedded inside it. The most dangerous cartel boss doesn't just bribe politicians, he owns them. Every peso he pays out to a mayor, a governor, or a police commander is an insurance policy. Every hand he shakes with a business tycoon guarantees another piece of the economy locked into his web. And every time a US agency wonders why a bust failed, the answer usually lies in one word: corruption. This isn't speculation, it's history. When Joaquin El Chapo Guzman escaped from prison the first time, it wasn't because he dug his way out with a spoon, it was because guards opened the doors for him. When he escaped again through a tunnel, investigators later discovered that prison officials had looked the other way for months. The same disease has spread across Mexico for decades, and this current boss has perfected it. For every general sent to arrest him, there's another colonel feeding him intel. For every prosecutor trying to indict him, there's a judge ready to dismiss charges. A chilling clip from a former cartel insider spells it out clearly.
Group fears a military raid, the only ones they can't corrupt. Unlike the police.
That's the operating manual. Money if you'll take it, violence if you won't. Either way, resistance is futile. What makes this particular boss so terrifying is how he's scaled that system. He doesn't just bribe individuals, he sponsors campaigns, he bankrolls political parties. His influence isn't a side hustle, it's baked into the state itself. Consider the governor who suddenly approves massive construction projects in cartel-controlled regions, or the police chief who repeatedly loses evidence in major cases, or the federal agents whose raids somehow fail because the targets were tipped off hours earlier. These aren't coincidences, they're transactions. In some towns, narcos and politicians are indistinguishable. Communities whisper that their mayor is nothing more than a cartel spokesman in a suit. And while people suffer under escalating violence, officials hold press conferences pretending to fight the very groups funding their campaigns.
VO. This is the darkest twist. Corruption isn't just protection, it's infrastructure. Think of it like Amazon Prime for cartels. Police, politicians, judges, all part of the supply chain, keeping the empire alive.
The viral clip hit the internet not just because the boss wanted to flex. It spread so easily because, in some cases, the same corrupted officials who should have been scrubbing it were amplifying it. They want his legend to grow because his legend is their power too. The irony is brutal. The more the US and Mexico pump money into fighting cartels, the more corrupt officials profit. Equipment meant for soldiers ends up in sicarios' hands. Intelligence meant for raids ends up warning cartel bosses to slip away hours before. Billions in anti-narcotics aid has been siphoned through corrupt contracts, enriching the very people supposed to dismantle these empires. And when corruption stretches across borders, the picture gets even darker. US law enforcement has not been immune. Over the years, multiple Border Patrol agents, customs officers, and even DEA insiders have been busted for leaking intel or turning a blind eye in exchange for bribes. The boss knows this. He exploits it masterfully, ensuring that even across the Rio Grande, money talks louder than morality. For ordinary citizens, corruption isn't an abstract problem, it's daily life. Imagine living in a town where the local police wear uniforms by day and ski masks by night. Imagine knowing that when you dial emergency services, the person answering may be on the cartel payroll. For thousands of Mexicans, that isn't imagination, it's reality. One cartel insider explained how the organization controls entire regions. They run everything: the police, the mayor, even the judges. If someone complains, they disappear. Everyone here knows it. That's why we don't talk, because if you open your mouth, you won't last a week. Think about the weight of that statement. Silence isn't cowardice, it's survival. Communities aren't just terrorized by sicarios in pickups with rifles. They're suffocated by the knowledge that every official who should protect them is on the other side, and the cartel boss knows how to weaponize that fear. The viral video wasn't only directed at governments, it was aimed at ordinary Mexicans too. The message was clear: don't look to your leaders, I am your leader. Even when arrests are made, corruption undermines the results. Judges toss out cases, evidence goes missing, witnesses forget what they saw or end up dead. The United States has tried to bypass this by extraditing high-profile bosses directly, but even that's messy. Extraditions are delayed, paperwork lost, security convoys attacked on the way to airports. Each time the boss gains another victory. And here's the punchline: corruption doesn't just protect him from justice, it fuels his business. Every cop he bribes becomes another delivery man, ensuring shipments move smoothly. Every politician he owns becomes another investment guaranteeing long-term safety. Corruption isn't his shield, it's his supply chain. The viral video looks like arrogance, but what it really is security footage. Proof that he can show his face because the people meant to capture him already work for him. This is why the cartel boss is more powerful than ever. Not because of how many soldiers he commands or how many billions flow through his empire, but because corruption has hollowed out the very institutions designed to stop him. And until corruption itself is dismantled, he will remain untouchable. But what even corruption cannot fully explain is the cult of personality this boss has cultivated. He isn't just feared, he's idolized. And in the next entry, we'll dive into the most disturbing part of his empire, the way he has turned himself into a legend, a saint, and a viral symbol of power that entire generations worship. The cult of the cartel boss. The viral video wasn't just about fear, it was about worship. Because when the most dangerous cartel boss looked into that camera, he wasn't speaking like a criminal, he was preaching like a prophet. And for too many people, he's not a fugitive. He's a saint. The cult around him is unlike anything else in organized crime. It's a bizarre fusion of narco saint worship, corrido music, and social media fandom. He isn't just controlling soldiers with guns, he's controlling minds with stories. In one haunting clip, cartel foot soldiers bow before Santa Muerte, whispering prayers for protection as if death itself were their ally.
For good luck, they often stop by and pray to Santa Muerte, the goddess of death, in this little chapel by the side of the road.
Con toda la fe, madre.
The two sicarios prepare an offering for her.
This is religion weaponized. When soldiers believe they are protected by death, fear disappears. And when the boss positions himself as the favored son of these saints, his authority becomes divine. The legend grows stronger through corridos, ballads sung in his honor, blasting from radios across Mexico and the US borderlands. Entire albums narrate his victories, his escapes, his wealth. Think about it. How many criminals have pop songs written about them like they're celebrities? This boss does. That's how deep his myth runs. But the most modern twist is how his cult thrives online. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are flooded with clips glorifying his soldiers in armored trucks, flaunting gold-plated rifles, tossing bundles of cash like party favors. Ordinary users share them as entertainment, blind to the fact that they're amplifying cartel propaganda. His viral video didn't just leak, it spread because the culture was ready to make him trend. And once again, poverty is the soil. To a teenager in Sinaloa with no future beyond dead-end work, seeing the boss ride in armored SUVs surrounded by respect and power looks less like crime and more like aspiration. To them, he isn't the villain ruining families in the US with fentanyl. He's the escape route from hopelessness. This is what makes his cult so terrifying. It doesn't just survive government crackdowns, it thrives on them. Every failed raid, every botched arrest, every bloody confrontation only adds more verses to the ballads, more memes to the internet, more proof that he is untouchable. And let's be clear, this isn't new. The cult of El Chapo exploded after each of his escapes, but this boss has taken it further, leaning into digital media, leaning into mythology, leaning into death itself as a brand. In one particularly raw confession, a former cartel enforcer explained how even those who feared him couldn't help but admire him.
Lo teníamos nosotros un personaje buenísima onda, fuera familia o no fuera familia. Él siempre estaba contigo, pues era un presidente y por decir con nosotros aquí, ¿verdad? Muy buena persona. Nosotros cuando ocupamos un favor o que alguien se enfermaba o algo.
That twisted cycle, fear becoming admiration, admiration becoming loyalty, is the essence of his cult. The viral video captured this perfectly. He wasn't barking threats, he wasn't hiding. He was calm, calculated, almost casual. That's the power move. He doesn't need to scream. His silence is louder than 1,000 gunshots. And while governments scramble to track him, while armies raid safe houses and seize shipments, he wins the long game. Because even if they kill him tomorrow, the legend remains. The cult doesn't die with the man, it outlives him. Think about Pablo Escobar. Decades after his death, tourists flock to his grave. Netflix dramatizes his life, and narco culture thrives on his memory. Now imagine that level of myth supercharged by social media. That's the future of this cartel boss. His viral clip isn't just a snapshot, it's an immortality project. The United States sees him as a fugitive poisoning its streets. Mexico sees him as a shadow ruler destabilizing its democracy. But to his followers, he's already more than a man. He's a symbol, and symbols don't die. The final tragedy is that the same systems meant to dismantle him, corruption, poverty, consumer demand, are the systems that guarantee his legend will only grow. Arrest him, and songs will celebrate his martyrdom. Kill him, and murals will rise in his honor. Silence him, and TikTok will replay his words forever. The viral video was a statement, I am untouchable. But the darker truth is this, even if one day he is touched, captured, or killed, his myth has already escaped. And that is why this story doesn't end with the man in the clip. It ends with us, watching, sharing, feeding the cult ourselves. Because every view, every click, every whisper of his name adds fuel to the fire. So the question isn't just how or when the most dangerous cartel boss will fall, it's whether his legend will ever die. We've come to the end of this crime story. If you enjoyed this clip and wouldn't mind more of such content, click on the card showing on the screen.